What's up, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today, and I'm here to bring you guys my Infernoid Lair of Darkness deck, and I'm going to be showing you guys the 60 card brick version of this. You guys already know I love playing 60 cards. This is another 60 card deck that we have the option to play. You guys saw my last video. I talked about the new Lair of Darkness structure, and this is basically one of the versions of the deck that I've been playing. I also have a 40 card version. If you guys want to see that, let me know. But I wanted to show you guys the 60 card build because I noticed not a lot of people have been really talking about it. Granted, it's not the best 60 card deck, but it's definitely something that you have the option to play, and it lets you play Infernoids in a completely different way, and I really like it. There's a lot of hype behind it. That's why Infernoids are going up constantly. But I'll show you guys this. This is just version 1. This is what we came up with. Let me know if you guys would change anything in it. Let me know what you guys think overall. We're going to just get into it, and I'll explain the card choices and the ratios, why we play. Of course, the 60 card deck, we got to break it down because, I mean, half the deck is damn near monsters. So we'll start with the monsters. So for the big Infernoids, we're playing 2 copies of Mononku, 2 copies of Deviati. You basically play the 2 copies of the bigs. You don't need any more than that because you're going to be using them not only for Decatron's effect, but you're also going to be using them for Void Imagination. So 2 and 2 is all you really need. They're pretty solid. You guys already know Monster and Spell Negator, Spell Negator, Monster Negator. They're really good. Obviously, this is a blowout against like Pendulums and back row decks. It just blows up all the stuff. It's Heavy Storm and Dark Hole. They're just really good. The only downside to them is they are pretty high in level, so you guys already know with the Infernoid level cap, when you summon one of these, you won't be able to summon any more, so just remember that, but they're really, really solid. They're like the main ones you need for Tierra and the ones you need that you want to send off Decatron with Void Feast. On to the Lil Infernoids, the best Infernoid in the deck. Course 3 Decatron. Summon it, send any Infernoid. It becomes any Infernoid, copies the level. Just really solid. Play a 1 Antra. I decided to put this in because I like the ability to bounce an opponent's monster. It gets problematic monsters off the field. Also, being able to go Decatron, dump this, make it a 3, and then being able to make Dante is really good because it's another mill option. You can just summon Harmodic from your hand, and then that makes your Dante. So it adds other utility. Plus, it's got a 2,000 defense. It's pretty good. In testing, it was good. It bounced problematic monsters off the field, and then, again, I was able to link away with it. And, I mean, it did what it needed to do. I'm just using 1. I wouldn't use more than that. I feel the card by itself is not that great, but used in tandem with like Decatron, like I said, to make Dante is pretty solid. So I just wanted to have the option in there as well. I like having the majority of all the Infernoids, at least 1 or more of them, because they all have different utilities. So we play those. Then for like the main workhorses of the deck, we have the 2 copies of Harmodic and 2 copies of Petrulia. Monster Popper, Spell and Trap Popper, you guys already know. Making your level 8s with Decatron is pretty simple. If you summon Decatron, send this, it becomes 4. You summon this, you make your 8, and vice versa. Send this, make it 5, summon that, make 8. 5 and 3 is 8, so pretty solid. These guys are just good. The thing with these little Infernoids is they really are the ones that just kind of punch through all your opponent's back row and play around your opponent's cards, because once you simplify the game state, the Infernoids just overpower the opponent. So pretty solid. And the thing I like about all these Infernoids, and especially why the Lair of Darkness is so important, is that during your opponent's turn, you're able to just use their monsters through this effect. You're able to tribute their monsters and then banish cards from their graveyard. So that's really, really solid. Then on to the big Infernoids, we play 2 copies of Cytimus and just 1 copy of Entondle. So I really like Cytimus. You guys already know non-targeting banishing is insane. And Entondle is just to go for game. Being able to punch a monster and then punch directly is pretty good. Ways to OTK. You can create random OTKs with this card. What I like about them both, too, being the big Infernoids, is that they're able to use the DD Crow effect during either player's turn. So you can tribute one of your opponent's monsters during your turn and their turn, and that's insane with Lair of Darkness up. So these guys are really solid. I wouldn't play any more, though. I feel this was the perfect number. And Toddle's not that good, but you want to have the option there, so that's why I played 2 and 1. Like I said, I want to try to keep the Infernoid count low, but still have the utility of playing every option. And then, of course, the 1 brick, the 1 Sajet. So you guys already know this card sucks to draw. Basically, we're using it for Void Feast, so we can bring that out with 2 Decatrons. So that's basically how that goes. You draw it, though. I mean, you got other options. Another reason I put Entondle in the deck is because at worst, at absolute worst, you can Void Feast for this, but we really hope that doesn't happen. But that's it for the Infernoid count. Like I said, I kept it pretty simple. I played all the main ones you'd want to play. I know there's other ones like Primace, and you can play like other random ratios, but I feel like this was like the perfect ratio so far for this deck in testing, because one problem with this deck is the more Infernoids you draw, if you don't have like cards to get them out of your hand or get them to the graveyard, they're kind of bricks, so you got to minimize that, but you still need to play enough utility Infernoids is the way I'd refer to them. So that's the Infernoid count. Then of course we're playing 60 cards, so we got to play 3 Fairy Tale Snow. For some reason this card is still at 3, so we're going to play it because we're a grass deck, and this card is insane in Infernoids. I feel like in Infernoids more than other decks, Snow is insane because you're able to attack with your big guys and then use, attack with Snow, use the Infernoid effect, tribute it off to banish an opponent's card, and then resummon it and attack again. So you can really get a lot of damage in just with Snow, and you can win games like so fast with Snow. So card, of course, is a staple in any 60 card mill deck. And then for our Lair of Darkness package, we play 3 Arima, and I do play one of the big Diablos. Now, I love Arima. I think Arima is probably one of the best cards. Arima is insane because, you just ditch it and then you get your Lair of Darkness. It's like another terraforming, but I also like its other effect. When you have Lair of Darkness on the field, you're able to just summon it and then tribute your opponent's monster and draw a card or search. I mean, that's nuts. So I really like that. And the one big guy, now here's the thing. I haven't really used the big guy that much. I do play Foolish Burial, so I do have a way to get it to the graveyard. I do play some mill cards in the deck. I don't think this card is that good, though, to be honest. I feel like I added it literally in probably as like the 60th card because I felt like, okay, there's got to be the circumstances where it's going to come up, and it has, but I feel like by itself, it's just not that good a card. And I don't play any of the other ones. I don't play any of the viruses or anything, so I'm not playing any of the other cards. I feel like this was the perfect ratio. When it comes to this card, though, I'll be honest, like, it may actually get cut in the future. It does come up sometimes, obviously you want to have it in the graveyard, but drawing it absolutely sucks unless you get rid of it with Void Vanishment. So right now it's in there, and it does come up sometimes, but outside of that, I would say your best option is play the 3 Arima. I feel that's absolute staple. And then you can play the other guys if you want, but I don't really like them. I feel like this is more so... like the route I wanted to go. But yeah, only one. Don't play more than one. I feel like that's definitely overkill. We do play Pot of Desire, so it can get banished, so I guess you can make that argument that you play multiple. But I'm telling you right now, this is one of the biggest bricks in the deck. You really want to just see it in the graveyard, but Arima by itself is nuts, so definitely a staple at 3. And then other monsters, we play 2 Raiden. I'm playing 3 Charge because, I mean, it's a 60 card deck, it's a mill deck, and there's no other good Light Sworns I want to use. Raiden's a tuner, so it works really well with Arima. You can make your 8, you can make your rank 4s. It works well with pretty much all the main other cards in the deck. I just like the ability to mill too, so Raiden was the best option with Charge, so that's why we play 2. I wouldn't play 3 though. 3 and 3 is overkill, so it's 3 Charge, 2 Raiden. And then to end out the monsters, hand traps, I'm just playing 3 Ash and 2 Ogre. Right now, this is what I'm playing. It still needs to be tested. A lot of monster slots are dedicated to like the Infernoids and to like the other support engines. So I still wanted to play hand traps though. I feel like if you're not playing hand traps, you can still, get absolutely bodied by other decks. I felt Ash was the most versatile, and same with Ogre. Being able to hit Electromite, being able to stop the FTK is really important. Another card that I might want to include in here is Droll and Lockbird. I might make some cuts and then play like 2 of each. I like the versatility. I love Droll and Lockbird. It's definitely in the side deck. But for now, this is the ratio I'm playing. Just 5 hand traps. It could change. Like I said, this is just version 1 of the deck. And of course, the deck will change with time. But that's what we're playing. So that is it for the monsters, you guys. It is 30 monsters. It is thick. It is 30 monsters. So with 30 monsters, we've got, I believe, 27 spells and 3 traps. So we're going to get into the spells. Of course, Lair of Darkness. This field card is insane. Being able to just tribute your opponent's monsters is nuts. Being able to generate tokens is nuts. The tokens, obviously, putting them to your opponent's side is not the best thing, but you do get some link value out of them on your side of the field. So I don't really pay that much attention to the token thing. It's not really as important. What the main thing is getting your opponent's monsters off the field and basically making it to where you're using their cards to basically banish their own cards. So they're constantly losing advantage each turn. So I think this card is nuts. Plus it makes everything dark. So trust me, that comes up in random situations where every monster, if it needed to be light or whatever, it's dark. So definitely really important. And then we are playing 60. We're playing Desires. So I played 3 Terraforming to search it out. I know what you guys are thinking. That's like, isn't that like 9 copies of Lair? Yeah, it is. It's kind of like Invoked. Like, one of the main focal points of the deck is you want to get to Alistair. Well, same thing. You want to get to Lair. So with the 3 Arima, 3 Terraforming, 3 Lair, you have 9. Plus we're a 60 card deck, plus being able to just use Arima for its other effect does come up. So I feel like playing all 9 is actually really important because it helps you get to your Lair more consistently. And then again, you can use Arima's effect to draw or search. So that comes up a lot too. Of course, 3 Pot of Desires, one of the best cards you can play in the game. Plus, in a 60 card deck, this card is insane. Like, that's the thing, is like, I wanted to play the 60 card build, so I had a reason to play 3 Pot of Desires. You can try to play multiple Pot of Desires in the 40 card build, but I noticed in 60 it's just more consistent to, you know, banish and draw your cards. So, Desires is a staple. Of course, I already mentioned the 3 charge, Go for Raiden, Mills cards, just really good. Bates Ash, just really solid card. Then we are 60, so we are playing 3 left arm because we want 4 copies of Grass, 4 copies of Reborn, 4 copies of pretty much anything. So 3 left arm. And then on to the bread and butter of the deck, the Void cards. We got the 3 Void Banishment and the 3 Void Imagination. These cards are nuts. Void Banishment helps you get to Void Feast, helps you get to Void Imagination. If you resolve Void Imagination, you should win the game. This card is not fair. It's like a Shaddoll Fusion on crack. I resolved it, dropping 3 NTSS, and it's just nuts. Like, this card is insane. Card sucks against True Draco, though, because they never go into the extra deck, but you kind of take that risk playing this deck. But, I mean, against everything else, this card is nuts. Bait out the Pendulum boards, and then you just drop this and you win. So, it's insane, and Void Banishment helps you get there. So, very solid cards. And then, of course, the Power 1-ofs. The Broken, that grass is greener. This card is nuts in this deck just because all your Infernoids are graveyard pretty much, so they're all food for each other, and Snow is insane. So resolve this, you pretty much win, just like in every 60 card deck. Then Power 1-ofs, we have Reborn, Reasoning, Monster Gate, 1 for 1, Foolish Burial. All these cards are essential. Reborn is insane since it came back. Reasoning and Monster Gate, you guys already know. Reasoning was always good in Infernoids. It didn't see that much play in the Zoo version, but in this version it's fine because we're not really playing anything that we don't want to hit or put in the graveyard, so Reasoning is fine. Plus we have so many different levels, so Reasoning solid. 1 for 1, of course, to get your Decatron. Foolish because it puts anything in the grave. Like I said, I like putting Diablos in the grave so I don't draw it, or sending a Snow like to win the game is nuts, or just any card you want, honestly, any monster you need. And then Monster Gate. We're going to talk about Monster Gate for a minute because this card is nuts. With Lair of Darkness up, you tribute your opponent's monster. Like, that's ridiculous. You tribute your opponent's monster and then just start milling your whole deck. Like, if this resolves and you mill, like, multiple cards, you should win the game. Like, I can't believe how powerful this card is with Lair of Darkness. You tribute your opponent's monster to summon a monster from your deck. That is nuts. You just fill your graveyard in the meantime. So, Monster Gate, insane. Need to get a hollow one, by the way. And that's it for all the spells. And of course, our only trap, 3 Void Feast. Void Feast is nuts. Resolve it. The goal is to always send, to bring out 2 Decatrons and a Sajet, making 1 Decatron Deviati, 1 Decatron Anonku, and it's just nuts. So, card is insane. We can resolve it multiple times too, because you do have the option to bring out Decatron and Cydamus if you draw the Sajet, or at worst case, like I said, you can bring out Entondle. So, those are the options for Void Feast. This card is nuts. Wish it would come hollow. Look cool. Yeah. But that is it, you guys. That is the thick 60 card deck, Lair of Darkness Infernoid deck. Now we're just going to get an extra deck real quick. Now the extra deck is pretty much still a work in progress. Like, I'm still working with like what cards I think are important. Of course, you got to play your tokens because you're going to be spawning tokens either to your side of the field or your opponent's side of the field. But this is what I've come up with, the extra deck. Any advice is always welcome because this is what I've been using, and so far it's been working out fine. But I do play the 1 Tiara, and I play 3, if you want to call it that. This combo is nuts. Like I said, if you resolve Void Imagination, you summon Tiara, you mill, and you send 3 of these, you pop 3 cards. That's nuts. So yeah, this is like the staple package for that. Just really solid. Resolve Void Imagination, it's like game. Then I do play some synchros, so I'm going back and forth on what synchros I wanted to play, but I ultimately decided to play 1 Scarlight, 1 Omega, and 1 Black Rose. So when it came to basically these two, you guys already know Mega's insane. I shouldn't really have to explain that. It's another option to send with Tierra so that you can, you know, shuffle back a card or whatever. And of course, it's utility to just hit an opponent's hit the opponent's hand, just solid. Add back banished Infernoids to keep going. You guys already know. Now, Scarlight was a card I decided to add because I feel like the ability to just clear a board and just steal a win is insane. The other option was to play Beals, and I know Beals is really solid against True Draco, but a lot of times you're only going to be summoning it with if you have a Decatron on the field, and I feel like that's not that great, whereas like you can summon Omega, you can summon this with Snow, Arima, Raiden, like you can use those cards to summon this. I feel like it came up a lot more, and then being able to bomb the board is nuts, so I decided ultimately on this card, and of course Black Rose, you just steal games with it. That was it for the Synchros. And then I just played a couple Exceeds. Like I said, this extra deck, like, I'm still working on it, but these were the cards I went with. I went with one Minerva, one Tornado, and one Dante. So, Minerva, pretty self-explanatory. It's just a mill engine. If you hit a Raiden, I mean, you're really lucky in 60, but it's not so much for that. It's more for its utility of milling cards, and then, you know, the ability to just, you know, it gets a lot of cards into the graveyard. The card is solid. And then Tornado, I really like. I feel Tornado is one of the best generic rank 4s. Just being able to hit back row is solid, so Tornado would definitely had to go in the deck. It was that or Dweller. Dweller is another option you can play if you want, but I felt Tornado just across the board was better. And then Dante, like I said, you can go Decatron, send Entra, summon Harmadic, and make this. You have other ways to make this, but I really like this card because it just mills more cards, and it puts pressure because 25 defense is big, 25 attack is big, and it's pretty solid. So those were the cards I chose for the XYZs, and then just onto our links. So the one thing about Infernoids is that their level cap, it can really hinder you from winning the game. So you just link them away, and I mean, then you just really kill your opponent. So I played a couple different ones. I played 3 Link 2s. I played one Dual Little Chimera, one Master King Archfiend, and one Underclock Taker. You guys already know Underclock is nuts. I played these two because this is basically Mrs. Radiant for fire monsters, so when you don't have Lair of Darkness, you play this. And this card, people probably don't even know what this card does. Its effect sucks. Like, you can read it if you want, but its effect absolutely sucks. But you're using it because this is a generic Link 2 for Fiend monsters, and it points to only you, which is really important. When you have Lair of Darkness up, all monsters are dark, and when you have just multiple Infernoids, you're able to just link them into this. So when you don't have Lair of Darkness and you want to go into this, you have the option to, because it takes 2 fire monsters, and when you do 2 Fiend monsters with Lair of Darkness up, you have this option. So these were the 2 options. They point to only you, which I felt was really important. Of course, like I already mentioned, Underclock. I feel these were the best Link 2s I could play. I think they were better than Proxy Dragon. So those are the options. I had to play a Link 3, so I played Decode. I feel Decode is just necessary. I mean, you can just, you know, it gets big and you just win. I feel like it was just really solid. I felt like over the other Link 3s, I felt this was just the better one. And then I had one spot left, so I had to put a Link 4 in, and I picked Borreload. Saryuja was another option, but I felt like Borreload would come up more because Borreload is broken. You guys already know, like, Borreload is broken. You need to have this card. Someone, I don't remember who it said, but you need to have Borreload in your deck so that you have the ability to out a Borreload. One of the best ways to out Borreload Dragon is with Borreload Dragon. So having it in your deck is just really important. And I'll be honest, it came up a couple games, so this card is nuts. I feel it's a staple in like every extra deck that can play Link. So yeah. So that is it, you guys. This is round 1, I guess version 1 of the 60 card Infernoid Lair deck. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you guys like it. Any changes you would like to make, let me know. Like I said, this is version number 1, so it's not perfect. It's still going to take a lot of work to get it just right, but I really do like it. I feel like it adds like a new way to play the Infernoids. It makes the opponent really scared when they see the field spell because they're like, oh god, you're going to just tribute away my monsters. It's a cost, so you can pretty much out any card. You can out like even problematic cards that you normally couldn't out, so I think that's really solid. And the reason I like 60, like I said, is I feel like you can just play more powerful bomb cards like Charge and Left Arm and Void and all your pots, everything. And it just seems more powerful to me than the 40 card version. I am, like I said, if you guys want to see the 40 card version, let me know. I have a version of that. Just so far, I've been testing this one a lot more. I do like 60. Like I said, this is the only iffy card. I know it's crazy, but if you guys can find a reason why this card is like insane, like besides like I guess the obvious, I don't know. Snow. I feel this might be one of the cards I cut. But, I mean, other than that, you get to play 3 Snow, which is nuts, and just all the utility Infernoids, and it gets the job done. Granted, you can brick with Infernoids, but, I mean, we play so many powerful spell cards that we're able to get around that. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed the deck profile, be sure to give the video a like. Let me know any other deck profiles you'd like to see here on the channel, and let me know what your guys' version of Infernoid layers is and how you feel it will impact the meta until the release of Brandish, and will the Lair of Darkness engine be used in Brandish. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.